Good morning, everybody. I think I had my other microphone muted, so please chat in the chat box if you are able to hear me. We will be sharing our desktop, so it is best for you to be on a PC for you to be able to see the screen sharing capabilities, depending on the tablet type that you're on. If you have any questions, you can let us know, and we'll try and work with you on that. But it is required to be on a PC for the screen sharing capabilities. Okay, so we're going to get started. Depending on what your microphone capabilities are, we have this webinar in question and answer mode. So you can click the hand button if you'd like to ask a question, and I can grant you permission to speak. If not, you could also chat your questions into our chat box, and then we can answer them with our screen sharing and through the site. So depending on what your preference is, either one is fine. Any questions, please chat them into the chat box, or you can ask to raise your hand. Good morning, everybody. So we did have our first question. Oh, I thought I pushed that out to you guys. It says, what are the main benefits of utilizing Planbook Plus at an elementary school? We have a lot of different age levels, school districts that are using our platform at a district level. And what they're using it for is, a variety of different reasons. So we have a lot of team teaching going on and team collaborating with the lesson planning. So a lot of districts have a common planning time. So the teachers are planning and then sharing their plans with each other. It also allows a district to have common curriculum that everybody can use and pull from to keep on pace with what the district requires. Another benefit of Planbook Plus is the communication aspect. So it's easily to share your lesson plans with your administrators, but even more importantly, you can share your lessons or what's going on in your classroom with your parents and students as well. So all of our levels of subscriptions now have student sharing, which can be used for students and parents. Lets them know what's going on in the classroom. They can get their homework right from the online site. There's no excuses of I lost my homework, everything's there. And if you miss a day from school, a teacher doesn't have to worry about gathering materials because it's all on Planbook Plus. And when they share out that link, they have access to it, so it doesn't make the students miss anything when they're out of school. So hopefully that answered your question. If you have any other questions, let me know. And I think one just came in, so just give me one moment so I can read it. Sure. So we have, can you highlight some of the most useful features we could use at an elementary school and show an example? So I'm going to share my screen right now. Just give me a moment. Let me push that question through so everybody can read it. Then I'm going to share my screen. Okay, if you guys can just chat in the chat box quickly, just somebody let me know if you can see my screen okay. You should be looking at our Planbook Plus calendar. It's loading. So I'm just going to give it one more moment. I want to make sure that with the sharing that everybody can see it before I start speaking and you're not able to see it. All right, I'm going to start in case anybody cannot see it. If you could please just let us know. Excuse me. So what you're seeing right here is the calendar view of Planbook Plus, and this is what the teachers are going to. Okay, I think it might still be loading. Well, I'll just talk about the basics of the calendar while it's loading for you. But the calendar view is what the teachers are going to use every day. It's going to give them their daily overview to let them know, hey, this is what's going on today. We have different, your different plan books can be loaded onto it, and you can set it up based on your scheduling so you can use it as your daily overview of what's going on for the day, what do you need for the day, if there's any specials, if there's any assemblies or different holidays, everything would show on your calendar. So it's really going to be the go-to place for any teacher using Planbook Plus would be to come to their calendar first. Just to make sure if somebody, I think we had some people saying it was still loading. If you can let us know if it has loaded for you. I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to stop sharing and start sharing again just to see if that helps. Okay, I think everybody's got it now. So I apologize for that with that delay in the loading. So as you can see here, like I said, this is what the teachers are going to look at every day. They'll be able to see what their goals and objectives are. And this screen is completely customizable for the teacher. So they can show whichever elements that they want on their page. So they can show everything, or they can set to show certain elements and then set that as their default. So every day when they come into this screen, they're going to see just those pieces of their lessons that they want to. They can always go back and say, I'd like to see my other objectives and add those in. And you can see here that it has loaded all of your lesson plans here. We talked about communication with your students and with your parents. So as you set up your lesson plan design, your element design, for your template, you're going to choose your sharing options for that. So for this, we've always shared our objectives with our students. It's always good for them to know what they're going to be learning about or what they did learn about, as well as the parents. There's also some elements that are shared manually. So you can choose when to release that to the students by checking that box. And then our assessment piece, as you can see here, there is no icon. So that means the students don't ever see that piece. And it allows you to easily share these elements with the students without having to think about it every day. So your homework, we have that as always shared. So a parent can come in in the evening if they forgot their planner at home and see what the homework was for that day. So that would be your communication piece and your daily overview. And then for collaborating with teachers, what you're going to do is be able to share out your plan book. So in each plan book, there's settings, and then under settings, there's teacher sharing. So you can set it up with your team to share with each other. You can assign out at a district curriculum level to say, okay, for grade 2, you're going to do these units, you're going to plan these for summer planning, and then collaborate and work on that all in your own plan books and then share it with each other so you could copy it to your own plan book. So that's going to be the best way we've seen it being used at an elementary school. I'm going to jump back over to our calendar just so we can have that up there. If there's any other questions, please feel free to keep them going, or you can always raise your hand and we'll be able to push over the audio to you as well. So I've added in our plan books, you can add multiple plan books to your calendar. So however many plan books you have every day, you can load those on and be able to see them. So now you see, hopefully it looks okay on your screen. It's a little dark on mine, but you can see that there's a to-do plan book. So we had a teacher who contacted us that wants daily items, like a to-do list that they wanted to put on their calendar. So we worked with them, and what we did was we created a plan book that was just your daily notes. So you can note a student's birthday, early dismissal, staff meetings, things that are just reminders for you that you can set up and say, oh, okay, we need to send out parent volunteer forms. We need to go over class expectations. And what we've done is we scheduled that for prior to school starting, so it always appears at the top of the calendar. But at any time during the day, if you don't need your daily notes any longer, then you can remove those from your plan book and from your calendar and add them back in at any point in time. One of the other great features that we have with Planbook is that there's different ways to plan. So we have our calendar here. If you're on a day, I'm going to skip ahead a few days. If you're planning and you get to, I think it's going to take one more week, to a day where you don't have anything planned for your science class, you'll see that we have science here, but we don't have anything for science for these 3 days. You can easily add your lesson here right into your plan book, and you can actually choose the grade book option, which we'll talk about later, to add it to your grade book and create your names. Then you can also edit any of those lessons that have been created from your calendar as well. So the calendar isn't just for daily overview. You could use it for planning. The unique feature of Planbook Plus is our timeline. I'm not going to go over it, but you could see how it creates your outline. So basically, the best part of this is for summer planning. You can scope out your entire year, units at a time, quarters at a time, with just outlining and creating those placeholders for your lessons, naming them, setting the duration, and then adding the details later. So you can quickly, easily scope and sequence and then worry about filling in the details later. So that's a unique feature of Planbook Plus. Another way of planning, we have 3 different ways to plan, is our weekly planner. So this works very much like our calendar where you can filter the elements that you'd like to see. So if you're just going to plan your objectives and your homeworks and a few other things, you can come in here and just show those elements that you've set up that you want to. You can type right into here and save, and it saves as you're typing and clicking. Everything's very quickly. So if you want to set your homework for the next week or 2, you can easily just show homework and type it in and go to the next day, type it in, and it really helps you to fill in your lesson plans quickly and easily. The only thing I want to mention on this is that inside of our lesson, inside the lesson plan details, is where you're going to attach the standards. So we have our own standards pre-built in that you can attach. So you're going to do that from here, and you can also edit the details of the lesson by clicking the lesson name. That's where you're going to add your resources and you're going to add your standards. So I'll jump back over to calendar. I'm going to wait and see if we have any other questions. Just give me one moment. Okay, so we did have another question about it being web-based. Yes, it is a web-based product, so it is available anywhere on the internet, which is great because if a teacher forgets their plan book at home or at school, they don't have to worry about it at home. They can plan at any time as long as they have internet access. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to chat them into the chat box, or you can raise your hand as well. Okay, we had a great question come in. So it's about parent and student access. So let me show you how students and parents access the system. So there's 2 different ways that students can access the system, and it's depending on the subscription level. So if you have the basic planner or the advanced planner subscription, what you're going to do for student sharing is you're going to go up to your My Planbooks menu and you're going to select student sharing. Under the student sharing, you're going to create a special page for your students. So you can name that link. It's just really a name that you'll see. And then you can select the plan books that you want for the students to see. So if you're an elementary teacher, then you might want to have your math, science, social studies, and English, anything else that you might have, writing, spelling, included all in one link. If you're a secondary teacher, you might only provide those students with the plan book for their specific period. If you have plan books delineated by period. So what I'm going to do is share my science plan book. I'll just share a few of them. This is our testing site, so we kind of have some silly names for certain things. But you can see here that you have what you've shared, and then what plan books you've shared, and then it provides you with a link. You can then provide this link to your students on a syllabus, if you have a classroom homepage or a class website or a school website that you can link from, then you can provide them with that link. So I'm going to open up a new tab and paste that link in. And then you'll see that it'll just be a student view of your calendar. I do have to jump to the proper day, so I apologize for that. Okay, I'm not sure why that is not working. I think my computer might have frozen on the screen. But what the students are going to see is a view-only version of your calendar. So it's going to have your plan books that you have chosen for them to see and any of the elements that you've chosen for them to see. So if you have not released an element yet, like these materials, this is an optional where you can choose to release it. They would not see that until you have checked off that box. So I'll have to figure out why my page is not loading there. But let me talk to you about our Master Planner student sharing, because the Master Planner student sharing actually allows the students access to Planbook Plus. So they'll be provided with a username and a password that you would create as the teacher, and that's located in your Planbook settings. So inside your Planbook settings, you'll create your classes and students using your My Classes menu here. And then inside your plan book, there's a classes tab. And that classes tab is going to give you a unique link with your teacher code attached to the end. So when you give the students access to that, I just have to open up a new window so I can paste in. It'll give you access to log into Planbook Plus as a student. It'll give you the teacher code pre-populated, so it's something that the students don't have to remember. And then they would be given their username and password, and then they could log in. So what this is going to do is it's going to provide them access to the calendar. So you'll see what the calendar looks like from the student side. I think I have to jump back. So here's our calendar for our students, and you can see that it only shows the materials that were shared with them. The difference with the student sharing in Master Planner is that Master Planner subscribers have access to online lessons. So these online lessons are provided inside the plan book for the students to click on and take those lessons. So that's the difference as to why they log in to actually access, because it provides the teachers with access to their work and grading and to input into the grade book. So the students can actually access an online lesson. The online lessons that we have in the system right now are in grades 1 through 8 for ELA and math. They would be response to intervention lessons that a teacher can use to reinforce topics being taught in the classroom. And then we have grades 9 through 12 in the core area courses of math, social studies, science, and English. So a teacher can search for lessons in United States history, in living environment, in chemistry, and different various things in English of informational texts, historical documents, and novels and grammar lessons as well. So we have about a few thousand lessons that have been loaded into Planbook Plus, and we are periodically adding courses to it as well. While we're waiting for additional questions, I'll go into one of the lessons so you can see what it looks like. So when a student clicks on lessons. It'll open that lesson, and our lessons are built off of a template. They all include a vocabulary component, a learning component, so this is what you're teaching in the classroom. So if you wanted to use these lessons as homework, it gives them information and notes for them to help answer those questions if they don't remember something from the class that day. Excuse me. There's interactives in here, different sets of multimedia. So this is our vocabulary, so they can learn the vocabulary by clicking on the flip cards. Then there's a guided practice section where they can check their answer. So they are asked a question, they can check it off and then check their answer. If it's incorrect, it'll tell them that it's what the correct answer is and why it's incorrect, or it'll give them a hint to try again. So the guided practice is included in most of our lessons. And there's also, with most of our math, there would be video components in that guided practice feedback that'll work through the problem with them so they could see where they made their mistake. So we have a lot of interactive teacher videos in the system as well. Then there's the independent practice section. So this is the section that gets graded and a grade is provided for it. So the independent practice section is going to be your multiple choice questions. So I'm just going to answer a few of those. And you can see that as we answer questions, this little icon is disappearing. And that really helps them to keep track of what questions they may have skipped as they're going along. And then it's just a visual reminder to them that they should go back and answer those before they submit. Then depending on the lesson, there could also be an extended response section. So this extended response section is going to be graded by the teacher. And they can just simply type in their answers and then click next. So yes, we had a comment that this would be great for flipped classroom. Yes, it absolutely would, because you could have them do pre-assignments for the night before to get them ready for what they're going to learn about in the classroom, getting them all of their resources. So that's one of the biggest problems with flipped classrooms is how do you get the students the materials that they need? And using your plan book and that resources section in your plan book, you can link them to all of your videos. You can link them to websites to read about. You can even give them a pre-lesson on the topic so they have some background before they come in with you the next day. So yes, it's absolutely a great way to start a flipped classroom. We've had teachers who also utilize our online lessons in the classroom. So they'll go through the learning components with the students. They'll even go through the guided practice and work out the problems all together as a class. And then the students work on the independent practice themselves. So we did have a question about the gradebook working with student information systems like PowerSchool. We do integrate our classes and our students and accounts with a lot of student management systems or student information systems like PowerSchool. We'd have to speak with you a little bit further. I'd have to have somebody on our customer support team who works with integrating data on how it would integrate with the gradebook. It would definitely load your classes. We do have, or we will be building in an export feature of our gradebook that would export things to Excel. So I'm not sure if your SIS gradebook has an import feature. But we could definitely have somebody speak with you about that would know more about that data integration. We did have somebody who raised their hand for asking a question. It looks like that was I don't know if we missed you, but Miss Reed, if you did have a question, we can, if you could raise your hand again, we could give you voice access to that, or you could chat your question into the chat box. I'm going to submit this assignment just so we can then go back into it as the grade book as we're waiting for additional questions, so you can see more about the features in our master planner. As a student submits, it takes them back to their assignment search page so they can check to see what lessons they might have in progress, and they can then work on additional lessons with the start dates on there. The dates on the classes are going to be the date that that was on your plan book. So that's how the assignments would work. So if you create an assignment, there's sharing options for that assignment. So you could share that with the students automatically right away. You can share it manually where you would choose to release it to the students, or you could actually share it on date. So tomorrow is June 9th. If you had online lessons set for June 9th that you put to share on date, tomorrow those lessons would appear for the students. So in the summer, everything can be planned out and ready to go for the school year, and then it'll release those assignments to the students on each of the days that it was scheduled for without you really having to think about it. Okay, I'm going to close out our student window here. We had a question about if an item is placed on the timeline, will it be visible in the calendar? And our 3 pages are all linked together. They're really, we create the 3 different views for you to be able to plan the way you plan, the way you like to plan. So here we have our science period 1. And you'll see this is rocks and minerals. I'm going to scroll over there, basics. Then we have 3 kinds of rocks and layers of the earth. So all of these, no matter how they were inputted, whether it be weekly planner, timeline, or calendar, they all link together. So I'm going to jump to the timeline, and you'll be able to see that for science period 1, we have rocks and minerals basic, 3 kinds of rocks, and layers of the earth. So that's where the timeline comes in handy, because you can outline everything and have them ready to go and then fill in those details later by clicking on the details link on the calendar, on the edit lesson on the calendar, or the details on your timeline. So I'm going to jump to the weekly planner as well, and you'll see those same 3 lessons. So everything is linked together. It really depends on how you prefer to plan. So rocks and minerals basics, 3 kinds of rocks, and layers of the earth. And once I make a change here, so I'm going to remove these materials here on layers of the earth, and that's going to save for me. If I jump back to the calendar, you'll see that those materials are gone. So everything is interconnected. So here our materials are not there any longer. It doesn't even show up because there's nothing listed in the element. So I've talked a few times about editing the details of the lesson, and that's going to be where you're going to put in your resources like your websites, your online lessons, and even filling in some of your elements. So to access that, as you saw on the timeline, there was that details link. On the weekly planner, you just click on the lesson name. And from here, you either click on the lesson name or you use the drop down here that says edit lesson. So I'm going to show you the inside, the meat of that lesson. So when you come into the Planbook item details, you're going to first see your elements. So this is your custom element design that you've created. If you want to edit this at any time, you can customize that element design, add elements, rename elements, rearrange elements in your plan book as well. So again, this is simply just like that weekly planner. As you type and click, it fills everything in and saves it automatically. Your standards is where you're going to attach your standards from our standards picker. So when you click on attach standards, you're going to choose a state. For this example, I'm just going to choose the basic common core standards. I'm going to choose math, and I'm going to choose grade 3. So then you're going to come across and see all of your different strands and then down to your PIs. So you can select one standard, you can select a group of standards, and you can even go further and select a larger group of standards. So for this, I'll just choose 2 standards and click Finish. And now you'll see that those standards are listed here in your attached standards thing. If you have any standards that we don't have in the system, you can always contact us if you have them in an Excel format. We can help to load those into our system for you. But you can also manually cut and paste or input different information inside the standards description. And your resources is where you're going to hold all of your personal belongings that are associated with this lesson plan and add them to this item. So from the Add Resource button here, you can add website links, you can add file resources, you can add online lessons, and you can add basic text information. So if you want to give them a bibliography to a textbook or to a novel. For this, I'm going to show you the online lessons because that's the new functionality that we've built in. So from here, you're going to choose your grade level. So I'm going to choose grade 4. I'm going to choose math. And then you'll see that you can narrow it down by topic and by lesson name. So if you wanted to do multiply 2-digit numbers, then you can check that off and you can choose how you want to share this. Do you want to share it immediately, share it manually, or share it on date? So we've already talked about that throughout a few different areas of the system. So I'm going to choose share on date because I think that makes it the easiest for the teachers. There's also a keyword search in there that you can type in a keyword. So here's your online lesson. And again, you can add a website, YouTube, if there's a link in there, and then you can choose, do you want to share this immediately? There's no harm in them seeing a lot of these resources ahead of time. If they want to learn ahead, all power to them. I think that's the best bet for them. So these are also drag and droppable. So as you start adding additional websites, you can reorder them if there's a particular order you want the students to see them in. You can edit anything with a pencil icon in our system. And you can also check these boxes and delete anything as well. The lesson name before they add it. And then So if you want to preview the lesson, you can click on the lesson name. You can also click on the lesson name when you're inside the adding the online lesson. And this, again, is going to show you it just like a student would see it. So you can see the visual model is going to walk them through step by step. And then they have their guided practice questions, their independent practice questions, and this is an intervention lesson for the younger levels. So we have skill builder questions in here. So what is it that they needed to know last year? Or what is it in the unit before that's going to build on to this unit? So here we have single-digit multiplication to master that to get to multiply 2-digit numbers. So that would be their skill builder section. So again, we'll just hang around if there's any other questions. Please feel free. If there's something that you want to see that you haven't gotten a chance to see yet, I'd be happy to show it to you. We really want to make sure that everybody is getting the most out of Planbook Plus that they can. So that's why we decided to have this live support session, because we figured there's a lot of questions out there, so let's answer some of them. Okay, so we had a question come in about comparing the different plans. So I'm going to show you that from our website, and you can access the website from the gear icon and your My Account. So from here is where you can actually change your password, you can upgrade your subscription, and you can also come over here to our pricing page. And this is where you're going to see the different levels and the pricing. Right now through July 5th, we have a deal going on because we did just launch our Master Planner subscription that for now, we're actually offering Master Planner for the same price as Advanced Planner. So these are our individual pricing structure. So right now it's $10, $25 for Advanced Planner, and the discount for Master Planner is $25. Master Planner will normally be $35 a year for our individual subscribers. So what you can see here are the different options. You do get limited space with your basic and then unlimited with your upgrade to advanced or master. The only thing that you really get with your basic besides your normal regular scheduling and lesson planning is you can share with teachers and you can share with students the basic way. The differences start to come out when you get to our grade book and student access, and then our online lessons is what really differentiates that. So those are our individual pricing. We do provide volume discounts depending on the number of users that you're going to have. So you could definitely contact us for that. So there's percent discounts on those subscriptions based on the number of users that you have. Hopefully that answered your question. If you have any other questions about the different plans, let me know. I do not think we're going to be able to attend ISTE this year. We did attend ISTE last year as just attendees, but I do not think we have a booth for ISTE this year. I could check with our marketing department on that just to be sure, our marketing and sales. You're welcome. It was our pleasure to have you guys with us today. We'll stick around for another 15 minutes or so until 11 o'clock. I know we have a come and go as you please. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. We thank you for your time today. I think I'll jump back over to our screen here where I can put up our support information. So you can see here, this is how you're going to contact us on support. We are available on email, support@planbookplus.com. Our website and is our support portal at support.planbookplus.com. That's where you're going to find user guides, video tutorials, and so on. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and our phone number is at the bottom as well. So feel free to contact us if you have any other questions, especially when it comes to the volume discount pricing. If you have multiple schools in your district that are interested, or maybe your entire district or one building, we can accommodate any of that. So basically the discount will go further down the more users that you purchase. I'm glad you like the product, Amy. We love it too. I'm so glad you like it. I'm so glad you had the time to attend our webinar. We do periodically have webinars each month. We have a lesson planning basics webinar that will go through your basic planning for your timeline, calendar, and weekly planner view, setting up your scheduling and your preferences. We didn't even get into scheduling today. But really, once you start using the product, it's so easy to use. We're also going to be launching a new webinar with all of our master planner features on it. So it's going to let you know how to be a master planner with Planbook Plus.